We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Welcome, everyone, for this September the 17th day with fall-like weather. The heat has finally broken in most places. And so, that's the thing about living in time and space. If you don't like it, just wait a minute, it'll change. Well, let me share with you our purpose and a core value. We are an assembly of equals, joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self within the appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols. And we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The core value that I've selected today is core value number 1. We trust everyone is led by unique inner guidance to one experience called awakening, which is the realization of the one true self. We live this value by supporting one another on different paths of awakening. So that, join me as we share our invocation here. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you so much for this opportunity to gather together and to share with one another. Help me release the personality George and allow you to flow through me with the words of wisdom that only you have. So help each one of us as we gather in this moment to receive your word. Amen. It is well with my soul. Regardless of what's going on in your lives, you can rest assured that anything other than that realization of the perfection of God is just an illusion. So it's time for our reading, and Laura Joy Bedford is going to read out of NTI, Romans chapter 15 and Matthew chapter 13. So, right ahead.
Thank you, George. Hi, everybody. Now that you see, I ask for your help. You can be used by me for the healing of the mind, if you are willing. In order to be most helpful, you must be willing to lay yourself aside. For you can only be helpful to me when you are under my direction, and I can only direct you when you are willing to surrender to me. Everything is up to you. You are the free Son of God. Nothing can be coerced upon you, nor is it my will to ask anything of you that you do not want to give. But if you are willing to give yourself to me for my use, I will make you useful to the healing of the mind. Through your surrender, we are made one, even within the illusion of division. Through your surrender, our heart is combined, and you shall know me through yourself. You do not see yourself as me yet, which means that you see with the eyes of illusion. But with understanding and willingness and your complete surrender, you shall see me as you. We shall be known as one in your awareness. And where we are joined, all are joined in love. So you shall know oneness, and you shall be divorced from the image of division forever. Laying down your will is important to your service to me, for your illusory will is not my will. Your illusory will is your desire to have things different. Your illusory will is your desire to have things your way. But if you look at the world and remember that it is the expression of your illusory will, you will again remember to return your true will to your true will, which is the same as mine. In surrendering to me, you surrender to yourself. In this realization, you are swept with peace and joy, for your true will is your true desire, and in its recognition, you find your gratitude to yourself. Pray then for your own end. Pray to your Father with willingness to let go of the illusory self. It is nothing to you, and it keeps you from the realization of your truth. Do not fear the passing of this self which you call home. It is not your home, and you do not belong there within your awareness. Your awareness belongs with me. I see your true self, and I am waiting here with you to share yourself with you. Blessings in your prayers for willingness. Do not take your prayers lightly. They are your energy, which feeds your strength. Through them, your truth shall be known. And moving to Matthew chapter 13, NTI. Your choice is the key to this scripture. All that you do by your choice. To deny this is to deny the essence of who you are. And yet many deny themselves and believe they are victims of their own distractions. I say to you, listen to me. No one can keep you from yourself but yourself. Lay yourself aside that you may come home to me. My words are clear to those who choose to understand them. For when you lay yourself aside and ask to receive understanding, it is given you. But understanding can only be given if you choose to lay yourself aside. For if you do not make this choice, it is because you believe you know, and so you cannot be taught. Be thankful that my words are clear to you, for you have asked, and it is given. It is the symbol of your Father's love on earth. Freely, he extends himself to you. Blessed are you who have chosen to receive. Not everyone you meet will be ready to make the choice that you have made. Many will not, but you must love them. For love is the good soil you have chosen. And not to love is not to have made the choice. Love your brothers. Give them as they ask, and do not judge. Think no evil thoughts about them. Do not worry about their choices. It is your choice you must guard. Make sure that you choose the good soil, and that you do not let yourself slip onto the path between the rocks or among the thorns. The choice you make will seem to be made many times in complete sincerity and truth of heart. And then you will seem to slip and forget the choice you have made. Do not let this distress you. Simply make the choice again. In any moment, when you notice that evil thoughts and thoughts of separateness have crept into your mind, give them up in that moment. It is moment to moment in which the harvest occurs. And so it is in the moment that you remember that you must also make the choice. Do not worry that you do not tend to your choice enough. For if you tend to your choice every time you remember, that is enough. For in the tending of your choice, the tending itself will extend until you are tending to your choice in every moment as you desire. For the tending is the mustard seed. Ask me to rain upon your seed and tend whenever you remember, and I will lead you to remember more. It is through your choice, but not through your effort, that the kingdom of heaven is given. For the kingdom of heaven must be a gift given by the Father to you. Choose to be ready to receive the gift. In this way, it is like yeast. The yeast represents the choice, but the rising of the dough is the gift born of that choice. What I tell you now is the truth of your salvation. It is only through this truth that you shall be saved. The Son of God is an extension of his Father, but this he has forgotten. That he has forgotten does not change what is true. When you see yourself in this forgotten state, and you believe that you are guilty and you live in a fearful world, it is then that you suffer. And yet you believe these thoughts. And in believing these thoughts, you suffer. And in believing these thoughts, you believe the evidence of these thoughts, and you suffer more. This is why I am here. I am here to bring clarity to replace confusion, love to replace fear. But you must know that your thoughts are born of fear, and fear is the way of this world. To know my gift, you must put down your thoughts of fear and turn away from its evidence. Through your consistent choice, I will give you my gift, for I cannot give against your choice. So I cannot give the gift of love if it is fear that you choose. Listen to me now. Thank you.
You know, this chapter talks about fear as well as choice. And actually, the next chapter, chapter 14, Matthew, talks about fear. Fear was made to keep you from joining with God. So, it kind of occurred to me, I've been speaking for probably 15 years or so, plus or minus a little bit. Years ago, I was a member of a Unity church, and our minister became severely ill and was out for 4 months. And so the elders would all rotate. And even though I wasn't an elder in that church, I volunteered to speak. Listen, if I can speak without fear, anybody can. Anybody can. Most of my life I was very fearful, even small groups. My first sermon, I scripted it out and I read it word for word. And, and the reason I did that was my biggest fear was that my mind would just go blank. And so that was my way of dealing with that fear. And some people can do that scripting and read what they've written and make it sound pretty natural. But of course, my judgment was, well, that was not a great sermon from a standpoint of presentation. So if you want to overcome fear, if you want to really work on that, volunteer to present and speak in the sanctuary. And I will tell you that as time goes on, the fear will become less and less. So, so why was this chosen today? I don't know. Reverend Jackie spoke on surrender last week. And several weeks ago when I was looking at the schedule, that theme came up, surrender. Surrender is, what does that mean? What does that mean to surrender? Surrender is basically, it says to cease resistance of an enemy or opponent and submit to their authority. That's the dictionary definition. But, for me, surrender is, I give up. I give up. So this subject of surrender is kind of a confusing one, as is everything about spirituality. We can talk about spirituality, and yet it's still a mystery to us. It reminds me, years ago, I went to a Lutheran church, and in the class, the minister had talked about as a child that he had asked the minister teacher about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and I was confused about how that God has separated himself, and yet there's only one God. And the teaching minister said, well, that's very simple. It's a mystery. We don't know. That's just the way that it's presented to us. So I pulled this out from a Christian site. What does it mean to surrender to God? And of course, they talk about the fall of man, and then the Garden of Eden, which is the story of the creation story in the Bible. But one of the things that really stands out for me in that Genesis, the first part of the Bible, is that after the creation, God looked at it and said, "It is good." And so, he fully understood that the Adam, which is the representative of mankind, was created by him and was him. And he said that is good. So in a sense, we have a partnership. We have this sense of being a separate individual. And we have this desire to join with God, to know God, to understand God. And yet, it's okay exactly where we are. It doesn't matter where you are on the spiritual path, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Now, there's in A Course in Miracles, there's a statement there, what could you not endure? And I'm just paraphrasing it, because quite frankly, I've looked for that. I don't know where it's at. But I remember the paraphrase is, what could you not accept if you knew that everything that happens to you, everything you experience, is for your own good? So that is something that comes to mind quite frequently for me. I'm to the point of life so far that life is pretty good. But we never know what the next instant means. So let me go back over here to this chapter on surrender. By the way, even though I prepare for these homilies, I have absolutely no idea what's coming out of my mouth. So hopefully it's something that's meaningful. So now that you see, I ask for your help. You can be used by me for the healing of the mind if you are willing. In order to be most helpful, you must be willing to lay yourself aside. You can only be helpful to me when you are under my direction. And I can only direct you when you are willing to surrender to me. So, what does that mean? I don't know. And I think most of us truly don't know. What I've come to realize is I have beliefs, you know, and as we all do, we all have our own version of the world that we see, and it's unique to us. Everybody has their own unique version of the world. But it's just an illusion. It's just beliefs. And each one of us has a little different viewpoint. And some of us have a radically different viewpoint than someone else. I was talking to my brother as I was coming through this summer and spending some time with him. And we were talking about how our children have radically different belief systems than we do. And if, you know, I mean, they're our children, so they got to be just as smart, probably smarter than we are. So, you know, the only thing that we could come up with was, look, well, we got, 20 years experience on them that they don't have. So maybe another 20 years, their viewpoints will change. So, but there's a difference between beliefs and knowing. So how do we get to that point of knowing? Well, it's the desire. Everything is up to you. You are the free Son of God. God is not going to compel us. And I would challenge any of you to know exactly why you're here. Why do some people get drawn to studying and becoming part of a group and others don't? We think that we know, we've all got an opinion, but the reality is, do we really know? We're here because we're guided to be here. In the Unity Church, they start up with, you are here by divine appointment. I think that's pretty good. We're all here because we have a divine appointment. So nothing can be coerced upon you, nor is it my will to ask anything of you that you do not want to give. But if you're willing to give yourself to me for my use, I will make you useful to the healing of the mind. And so that's actually what's going on. We're holding that desire in our heart to release the fear, to release suffering, and to see things in a way that most of us do not see them completely now. So it is through your surrender that we're made one, even within the illusion of division. That was the key in the creation story. Adam and Eve were created by God, and until they ate from the tree of knowledge, they felt very comfortable with God. They felt at one with God. And then when they ate the symbolic apple, their eyes were opened. And I've got to think that was the moment that the thought of separation, of being a separate individual, arose. And so But as God said, as he looked at his creation, all is good. And so there's no reason to apologize for wherever we're at in this process. As a matter of fact, I think we're uniquely blessed in this process, not because of anything that you or I have done. We have been guided to this point, each of us in our own individual way. Now, we've been talking a lot about Angelo DeLulla and his book, Awake, It's Your Turn. And he likes to point out that there's no one path to awakening. It happens differently for everyone. And you can see that as you look at people around us, we're all having a somewhat different experience. So you do not see yourself as me yet. George sees himself as George. And in spite of George's flaws, I kind of like George now. This has not always been true, I'll tell you. I feel like I was pretty crazy most of my life. And I look back and I'm thinking, gee, I wish I'd have done that differently. But that's just the way it is. So that's just the illusion. And quite frankly, as I look back, I probably don't even remember it the way it really happened anyway. So, but with understanding and willingness and your complete surrender, you shall see me as you. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. Until we have that knowledge that God is going to impart upon us, we can only imagine. We can only imagine what that's truly like. There seems to be this point where most people have some sort of quantum leap into this awareness of oneness, and yet even then, and Angelo points this out, that's not the end of the process. It's a continuing process. So we shall be known as one in your awareness. Now, is that going to happen for all of us? Well, it's certainly possible. And quite frankly, the fact that we're here in this community, I think we have an edge upon it over almost everyone else in the world. But there's something within me. George is never going to awaken. I've said this before. George can participate in this process, but George is not going to awaken. And I have this trust that if George doesn't awaken in this lifetime and have that experience, that's just the way it's supposed to be, and that's okay. Because that spirit within me is the same as the spirit within you, and it doesn't die. So, don't know, until we have that experience, we don't know what it's going to be like. So laying down your will is important to your service to me, for your illusory will is not my will. Each of us has our own journey on this earth. And we guide ourselves, and we think we're guiding ourselves through this journey. We make mistakes. Most of us have the thought, well, gee, everybody's going to awaken except me. But does that really matter? We can have the willingness. but spirit has to make that final step. And whether spirit does or does not, to me, is immaterial. Your illusory will is your desire to have things different. Now, most of us, even regardless of how good our lives are right now, most of us can say, well, gee, it could be a little bit better. I could have a little bit more money, even if we've got plenty of money. We could have more. We could have a little better health. We could have this. We could have that. There's always something from the standpoint of the individual that we think that would be nicer to have or not have. So what would it be like if we could truly accept that what is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and not have that desire that it be different? So Regina gave a good example here last week. We had a little deer that got ran over, and she shared this in her program, but little deer got ran over, and she saw that and she thought, wish that hadn't happened. Mother deer went over and sniffed the little deer and went back to grazing, and came sniffed it again and went back to grazing. It's like it was hard to put ourselves in that deer's mind, but it was like that's the way it is. And no preference one way or the other. I don't know if that's true. I'm just making up a story there, I guess. But no, even that preference, well, gee, yes, I wish it had been different, is something that we all have in common. So surrendering to me, you surrender yourself, and that's the big S. In this realization, you are swept with peace and joy, for your true will is your true desire, and in its recognition, you will find gratitude to yourself. So when we can truly surrender and Spirit reveals to us our true self, we can experience the peace and joy that we can only imagine now. For your true will is your true desire, and in its recognition, you will find gratitude for yourself. So pray then for your own end. Now that's a big one. Most of us may interpret that as death of the personality. Pray to your Father with willingness to let go of that illusory self. It is nothing to you, and it keeps you from the realization of your truth. It's kind of hard to really imagine something that you've never experienced. And yet, all of the spiritual leaders that we are exposed to and that we feel a sense of trust, we have that feeling within us that they are representing spirit in a way that we haven't experienced yet. We look forward to that. So do not fear for the passing of this self you call home. I had a thought the other day. When we go to sleep at night, we don't worry about going to sleep for the most part. I guess there could be an issue going on where you think, well, I forgot I go to sleep, I may not wake up. But most of us, we go to sleep, we have no anxiety about that. And yet we do not have consciousness. The egoic personality lays down. Is death any different? At that moment that this body starts to cease functioning? Is that sleep any different, except it's the last one? So, death is one of the big fears that people have. I've had that experience most of my life. When I was in my 20s, I was in the Air Force and I was trained as a lab technician working in a hospital. And so I saw death as a young man. Certainly not the brutal, tragic death in battle, thank goodness. But I still saw death, and it really disturbed me. It's been one of those present awarenesses for most of my life, on and off. I would have these thoughts of, anxiety about death. And that anxiety has faded considerably. So I'd like to feel that I don't have that anxiety. I'm sure if I had time to reflect the moment before, I might have some anxiety, but it just seems like a thought now. So, blessing in your prayers for willingness. And that's all we can do, is extend our willingness. Do not take your prayers lightly, for they are your energy which feeds your strength, and through them your truth shall be known. So prayer, of course, is just that desire to communicate with God. We're not telling God anything he doesn't know, but in our prayers, God is helping us to focus and to give us some understanding. I see I've spent half the time and I haven't even gotten to choice. So let's go back to choice. Choice. As I was going through the NTI, I've got a note here. This is, at that time, Regina's favorite chapter in Matthew. So, and since Reverend Jackie spoke about surrender and had a wonderful example of her experience of surrender last week, as I was thumbing through this really jumped out at me. Choice. So your choice is the key to this scripture. All that you do by choice. No one can keep you from yourself, the big self, but yourself. And so that falls into that realm of willingness. Do we really want to know? Now, in a sense, we're surrendering to the unknown. And that's become very apparent to me. I have beliefs, as I've said, but I don't know what I don't know. And none of us do. We can imagine what that might be like, but until we have that experience, we don't know. My words are clear to those who understand them. I like Jesus in the Bible said, for those who have ears, let them hear. For when you lay yourself aside and ask to receive understanding, it is given to you. Now, each one of us is probably going to have a different experience of that, but the desire is the key. Let's just trust that when our time comes, it'll come. You know, it's not like we're really doing anything. We're being willing. And I really think we're being done. We're being drawn to this. It's easy to look around. You know, we're so blessed with our multimedia because we are exposed to so many masters that in the past would be impossible for us to have an experience with. Masters from all over the world, from every religion. And to me, that gives me a sense of comfort in that I hear the same message spoken in different ways. And that's one of the blessings we have in Awakening Together is every week we hear the same message through a different voice. So not everyone you meet will be ready to make the choice you have, and that's okay. We don't need, you know, how does the Course put it? Our only goal is to accept the atonement for ourselves. You know, we don't have to go out there and proselytize and try to get everybody else involved. You know, Angelo had an awakening experience at around the age of 25-ish. And for many, many years, he didn't really speak about it. It was something that evolved over time. I remember Muji, after his awakening experience, he was sitting in a coffee shop and a group of people around him had the sense that he had something that they didn't have. There was a peace, there was a tranquility, and so they started asking him questions, and so his ministry began. But he didn't have the idea, I'm going to begin ministry. Regina didn't have the idea, I'm going to start a church. She didn't even really want to start a church. But that's what Spirit told her to do. So, you know, we don't know what's coming next. All we have to do is be willing and let everyone else in their own time find their own way. Now, the choice you make will seem to be made many times in complete sincerity of the truth heart, and yet you will seem to slip and forget the choice you've made. Do not let this distress you. Simply make the choice again. You know, we all have this, most of us, I'm going to say, have this thought, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. This is something that someone else can get, but I can't get this. But all we can do is choose to keep going forward. Don't worry if you do not tend to your choice enough, or if you tend to your choice every time you remember, that's enough. So, it is through your choice, but not through your effort. Well, that's good news, because none of us are capable, as that thought of separation, of being an individual. None of us have that capability, but we don't need to, because God is doing it for us. So this is why I'm here. I'm here to bring clarity, to replace confusion, and love to replace fear. But you must know that your thoughts are born of fear, and fear is the way of the world. To know my gift, you must put down your thoughts of fear and turn away from its evidence. Through your consistent choice, I will give you my gift. Listen to me now. So, well, I could continue to talk, and I see that we're about out of time here, so I'm going to finish with this. There was a movie in the mid-'60s called What's It All About, Alfie? And there was a song, Dionne Warwick, I think, sang this song. So what's it all about, Alfie? Is it just for the moment that we live? What's it all about? When you sort it out, Alfie, are we meant to take more than we give? Or are we meant to be kind? And if only fools are kind, Alfie, then I guess it's wise to be cruel. And if life belongs only to the strong, Alfie, what will you lend on an old golden rule? As sure as I believe that there's a heaven above, Alfie, I know there's something much more, something even non-believers can believe in. And I believe in love, Alfie. Without true love, we just exist, Alfie. And until you find the love you've missed, you're nothing, Alfie. And when you walk, let your heart lead the way, and you'll find love any day. And so that's all we're asking. Not asking much from God. We're just asking for the love, for the acceptance, and for the realization that we are one. We are all one together. So, thank you. What an awesome song. It really brings tears to my eyes there. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This is your opportunity, and Sana will post a link if you feel inclined to make a donation. We do survive in great part by your donations. So let's see. Thanks again, everyone, for being with us. And I'm going to release the mic to Sada for our next program, our fellowship.
Been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.